Welcome to Globewise Entertainment, your go-to channel for all things entertainment, from Hollywood legends to global icons. Today, we're celebrating 30 incredible stars, over 80 who are still inspiring the world in 2025. These legends have defied age, continuing to shine in music, film, television, and beyond. Clapperboard. But before we dive in, make sure to hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications bell so you never miss out on our latest videos. Now, let's celebrate these timeless icons. Actors and filmmakers. 1. Clint Eastwood. Clint Eastwood, a legend beyond time. At 94 years old, Clint Eastwood still walks onto a film set with the same quiet confidence that made him a star decades ago. His journey, from a TV cowboy to an Oscar-winning director, has been nothing short of legendary. But what truly inspires the world isn't just his success. It's his relentless passion for storytelling and pushing boundaries, no matter his age. In 2023, while many assumed he would retire, Eastwood surprised everyone by directing Juror Number 2, proving that creativity has no expiration date. His ability to evolve, from the tough gunslinger in The Good, the bad and the ugly, to the thought-provoking director behind Million Dollar Baby and Gran Torino, has been a testament to resilience, reinvention, and mastery of craft. Beyond the silver screen, Eastwood's life philosophy is just as inspiring. He once shared, "Don't let the old man in," a line that became his personal mantra. Instead of slowing down, he stayed active, sharp, and always curious. His discipline, work ethic, and fearlessness in tackling new projects have motivated countless actors, filmmakers, and everyday dreamers to pursue their passions, no matter their age. Even in his 90s, Clint Eastwood remains a force of nature, a symbol of longevity and perseverance. His legacy is not just in the films he's made, but in the message he sends. Keep moving forward, keep creating, and never stop chasing greatness. 2. Morgan Freeman. The voice of wisdom. The Morgan Freeman story. In a small town in Mississippi, a boy named Morgan Freeman dreamed beyond the cotton fields and dusty roads. With a voice as deep as the earth itself and a passion for storytelling, he refused to let barriers define him. Morgan's journey wasn't easy. He struggled for years, taking small roles, narrating for pennies, and even serving in the Air Force before Hollywood recognized his brilliance. But he never gave up. When he finally got his breakthrough in driving Miss Daisy and Glory, the world saw what it always believed. He was destined to inspire. Through his commanding presence in The Shawshank Redemption, he taught us about hope. As Nelson Mandela in Invictus, he reminded us of resilience. And with his unforgettable narration in March of the Penguins and Through the Wormhole, he became the voice of wisdom for generations. Even at 85, and now in 2025, at nearly 88 years old, Morgan Freeman continues to inspire. Whether through his acting, philanthropy, or simply his reassuring voice, he proves that age is no limit to greatness. His journey is a lesson to the world. Stay determined, believe in yourself, and never stop telling your story. 3. Al Pacino, born in 1940. Al Pacino, a legacy of fire and passion. At 84, Al Pacino still commanded the screen with the same intensity that made him a legend. Though his steps had slowed, his voice, gravelly yet magnetic, remained a force of nature. In 2025, he surprised the world by taking on an independent film role, portraying an aging playwright grappling with his legacy. The film, Final Act, wasn't just another role. It was a reflection of Pacino's own journey. With every line he delivered, he reminded the world that passion doesn't fade with age. It evolves. Young actors marveled at his dedication, hanging on to his every word during interviews where he spoke about perseverance, reinvention, and the love of the craft. Beyond the screen, he continued mentoring aspiring artists, sharing stories of struggle and triumph. His iconic performances, from The Godfather to Scarface, still inspired, but it was his unwavering commitment to storytelling that proved most powerful. In an era obsessed with youth, Pacino stood as a beacon of endurance, proving that artistry knows no expiration date. 4. Robert De Niro. Robert De Niro, a legacy beyond the screen. At 82, Robert De Niro still walked onto sets with the same fire that had defined his 6-decade-long career. Known for his legendary performances in Taxi Driver, Raging Bull, and The Godfather Part 2, he was more than just an actor. He was a storyteller, a mentor, and an advocate for truth. In 2025, De Niro wasn't just acting, he was inspiring. He had recently starred in an independent film tackling ageism, proving that talent knows no expiration date. At film festivals, he spoke passionately about resilience, urging young actors to embrace their craft with discipline and fearlessness. His words resonated beyond Hollywood, inspiring people of all walks of life to never give up on their passions. Beyond cinema, De Niro continued his advocacy work. Through the Tribeca Film Festival, he championed young filmmakers, ensuring that fresh voices had a platform. He also remained outspoken about social issues, using his influence to stand up for justice and creativity. Despite age, despite challenges, De Niro stood tall, a living testament that true greatness is not just in what you achieve, but in how you inspire others to dream bigger. 5. Jane Fonda. Jane Fonda, a lifetime of inspiration. At 87, Jane Fonda was still a force of nature, graceful, fearless, and unyielding in her mission to inspire change. She has spent decades captivating audiences with her Oscar-winning performances, redefining fitness with her iconic workout videos, and standing at the front lines of activism, never afraid to use her voice for what she believed in. In 2025, while many would have long retired, Jane was busier than ever. She starred in a new thought-provoking documentary on climate change, reminding the world that the fight for the planet was far from over. Every Friday, she continued her Fire Drill Fridays protests, standing shoulder to shoulder with young activists, proving that age was no barrier to making a difference. Beyond activism, Jane remained a guiding light for women in Hollywood, pushing for stronger roles for older actresses and advocating for equal pay. In interviews, she often said, "The key to staying young is to keep learning, keep moving, and never stop fighting for what matters." Her relentless energy and unwavering commitment to change made her more than just an actress. She was a role model, an icon, and a reminder that no matter how many candles were on your birthday cake, you could still change the world. 6. Maggie Smith. Dame Maggie Smith, a timeless inspiration. At 90 years old, Dame Maggie Smith remained an unstoppable force in entertainment. Best known for her roles in Harry Potter and Downton Abbey, her career spanned over 7 decades, earning her 2 Academy Awards, 5 BAFTAs, and the admiration of millions. Even in 2025, Maggie continued to inspire. She took on a groundbreaking role in an independent film about resilience in old age, proving that talent knows no expiration date. Off-screen, she mentored young actors, sharing wisdom from a lifetime on stage and screen. But Maggie's influence extended beyond acting. Having quietly battled illness in her earlier years, she became a vocal advocate for cancer awareness, using her platform to support research and encourage early detection. Her wit and grace in interviews reminded the world that aging is not a decline, but an evolution. In an era obsessed with youth, Dame Maggie Smith stood tall, elegant, brilliant, and endlessly inspiring. 7. Anthony Hopkins. Anthony Hopkins, a legend who never stopped inspiring. At 87 years old in 2025, Sir Anthony Hopkins continues to captivate the world, not just with his acting, but with his wisdom, resilience, and creativity. From his legendary performance as Hannibal Lecter in The Silence of the Lambs to his Oscar-winning role in The Father, Hopkins has proven time and again that age is no barrier to greatness. In recent years, he has embraced social media, sharing heartfelt piano compositions and words of encouragement to his millions of followers. His message? Keep going, stay creative, and never let the past define your future. Even after winning his 2nd Academy Award at 83, he remained humble, dedicating his success to young dreamers and fellow artists. When asked about retirement, he simply laughed, saying, "As long as I can breathe, I will create." Beyond Hollywood, Hopkins has used his platform to raise awareness for mental health and Alzheimer's research. Inspired by his role in The Father, his journey from a young boy in Wales with undiagnosed dyslexia to one of the greatest actors in history reminds us all persistence, passion, and reinvention can keep you timeless. Musicians. 8. Paul McCartney. Paul McCartney, the timeless tune of inspiration. At 82, Paul McCartney still strums a guitar, his voice echoing through stadiums, reminding the world that music knows no age. From the Beatles to Wings and beyond, his melodies have defined generations, carrying messages of love, peace, and resilience. In 2025, McCartney continues to inspire, not just through music but through his advocacy. His vegetarian lifestyle, environmental efforts, and dedication to music education empower new artists to dream big. His concerts sell out in minutes, proving that true legends never fade. They evolve, leaving an everlasting legacy. Even now, when he picks up his Hofner bass and sings Let It Be, the world listens, united by the magic of his music. Guitar. 9. Bob Dylan. Bob Dylan, the timeless voice of change. In a dimly lit cafe in Greenwich Village, a young man once sat, strumming his guitar, singing words that would shake the world. That man was Bob Dylan. From the folk anthems of the 1960s to his poetic rock and blues ballads, Dylan became more than a musician. He became a voice for generations seeking truth, justice, and change. When the world was divided, he sang, "The times they are a-changin'." When society turned a blind eye to injustice, he warned, "Blow in the wind." His lyrics weren't just songs. They were movements, inspiring civil rights activists, poets, and dreamers across the globe. But Dylan never stopped evolving. He reinvented his music, embraced electric guitars when folk purists protested, won the Nobel Prize in Literature, and continued to tour well into his 80s. Even in 2025, his raspy voice still fills concert halls, reminding us that art has no expiration date. As long as there are stories to tell and truths to uncover, Bob Dylan's music will keep inspiring the world, one song at a time. Musical notes. 10. Willie Nelson. Willie Nelson, a timeless tune of inspiration. At 91 years old, Willie Nelson still strums his guitar with the same passion that made him a legend. His weathered hands, etched with decades of melodies, tell a story of resilience, rebellion, and relentless love for music. Born in 1933, Willie's journey was never about chasing fame. It was about truth. He sang for the underdogs, the dreamers, and those who felt lost. His songs, like On the Road Again and Always on My Mind, became anthems of freedom, love, and redemption. But Willie wasn't just a musician. He was a voice for farmers, veterans, and those struggling to be heard. Through Farm Aid, which he co-founded in 1985, he helped raise millions to support American farmers. He also championed cannabis legalization, pushing for change with his signature laid-back wisdom. Even in 2025, he refuses to slow down. Whether performing at sold-out shows, recording new music, or simply strumming his guitar on his Texas ranch, Willie remains a beacon of inspiration. His message is clear: keep playing, keep loving, and keep fighting for what's right. Because legends like Willie Nelson don't fade away. They just keep singing. Musical notes. 11. Tina Turner. Tina Turner, the queen who never lost her fire. Tina Turner's life was a testament to resilience, reinvention, and raw talent. Born in 1939, she rose from humble beginnings in Nutbush, Tennessee, to become one of the greatest rock and soul performers the world had ever seen. Her early career with Ike Turner brought fame, but also hardship. Enduring years of abuse, Tina made a courageous escape in the late 1970s with nothing but her name and an unbreakable spirit. Many thought her career was over, but Tina proved them wrong. In the 1980s, she stormed back with Private Dancer, an album that redefined her as a global superstar. Hits like What's Love Got to Do With It and Simply the Best became anthems of strength and empowerment. With her electrifying stage presence, raspy voice, and unmatched energy, she shattered industry barriers, proving that age, gender, and past struggles could never define a person's future. Even after retiring, Tina's influence never faded. She inspired generations of musicians, from Beyoncé to Adele, showing that success isn't about where you start. It's about where you dare to go. Though she passed in 2023, her legacy of strength, survival, and soul lives on. Tina Turner wasn't just a singer. She was a force of nature. And even now, her music continues to inspire the world. 12. Dionne Warwick. Dionne Warwick, the voice that bridged generations. In a world where music is ever-changing, one voice has remained timeless. Dionne Warwick. Born in 1940, she grew up in a gospel-singing family, her voice destined to touch hearts across generations. From the moment she recorded her first hit, Don't Make Me Over, in 1962, the world knew it had found something special. Through the decades, Warwick's music became a beacon of hope and love. Songs like Walk On By and That's What Friends Were transcended mere entertainment. They became anthems of resilience, friendship, and social change. She wasn't just a singer, she was a storyteller, a healer through melody. Beyond her music, Warwick used her platform for good. She fought tirelessly for AIDS awareness, using That's What Friends Are for to raise millions for research. She became an outspoken advocate for artists' rights and social justice, proving that her voice carried power both on and off the stage. Even in her 80s, Dionne Warwick continues to inspire. Whether mentoring young artists, engaging with fans on social media, or reminding the world of the magic of classic music, she remains a legend whose influence will never fade. Her story teaches us that true artistry isn't just about talent. It's about using that talent to uplift, to unite, and to inspire. 13. Ringo Starr. Ringo Starr, the beat that never faded. At 84, Ringo Starr still took the stage with the same infectious energy that made him a legend. The world had changed, but his rhythm never wavered. From his early days with the Beatles to his ongoing solo career, Ringo's message remained clear. Peace, love, and music can heal the world. In 2025, as he toured with his all-star band, young musicians gathered backstage, eager to meet the man whose drumming had shaped rock history. One aspiring drummer asked, "Ringo, how you keep going?" He grinned, "Because music keeps me going. It's not about being the best. It's about playing with heart." Beyond his music, Ringo inspired millions with his annual Peace and Love birthday celebration, where fans worldwide stopped at noon on July 7th to spread kindness. His passion for life reminded the world that age is just a number and that true legends never stop making an impact. And so, with every beat of his drum, Ringo Starr continued to inspire, one song, one smile, and one peace and love at a time. Writers and thinkers. 14. Noam Chomsky. The wisdom of words. Noam Chomsky's everlasting influence. At 96, Noam Chomsky sat in his quiet study, surrounded by shelves overflowing with books. The world outside had changed drastically since he first challenged the norms of language and power decades ago. But one thing remained the same. His voice still carried weight. As a young linguist, he revolutionized how we understand language, proving that humans are born with an innate ability for it. His theory of universal grammar reshaped modern linguistics, influencing countless scholars, educators, and students. But Chomsky didn't stop at language. He became a fierce critic of war, corruption, and media manipulation. His books, lectures, and interviews expose hidden truths, inspiring generations to question authority and think critically. His words fueled movements, empowered journalists, and gave young activists the courage to stand up for justice. Even in 2025, his impact was undeniable. College students still pored over his writings. Podcasts dissected his theories. And in an age of misinformation, his wisdom remained a beacon of clarity. Sitting in his study, Chomsky smiled. He had always believed that ideas, when shared fearlessly, could change the world. And they had. 15. Stephen King. The endless pages of fear and imagination. Stephen King's legacy. As the world turned to pages of time, one man continued to shape the landscape of literature with an unyielding imagination. Stephen King. Nearing 80, the master horror had long conquered the fears of generations, proving that storytelling wasn't just about scaring people. It was about revealing the human soul. Even in his later years, King's pen never rested. His stories, whether they crawl with monsters or wrestle with the shadows of the human mind, remained as sharp as ever. Readers young and old still clutched his books late at night, heart pounding, minds racing. His words transcended horror. They became lessons in resilience, in facing fears, in understanding the darkness within and around us. Beyond his novels, King's voice echoed in the fight for freedom of speech and the power of books. He championed libraries, encouraged young writers, and proved that age could never silence creativity. When asked how he kept going, he simply grinned and said, "You just keep writing. The stories don't stop, so why should I?" And so, As the world continued to turn its pages, Stephen King remained, an unshakable legend whose ink would never run dry. 16. Margaret Atwood, the timeless quill. Margaret Atwood's enduring influence. In a quiet study filled with books, a woman sat at her desk, the rhythmic tap of her fingers on the keyboard echoing through the room. Margaret Atwood, at 85, was still weaving words that shaped the world. Her piercing intellect and boundless creativity had made her one of the most celebrated writers of her time. But it wasn't just her novels that left an impact. It was her fearless voice. Decades earlier, The Handmaid's Tale had become more than just a book. It was a warning, a movement, a mirror held up to society. It resonated with generations, reminding them to guard their freedoms and question authority. Even in her later years, Atwood never stopped writing, speaking, and challenging the status quo. From climate change to women's rights, she remained a guiding force, proving that wisdom doesn't age, it only deepens. In 2025, young writers still looked up to her, clutching copies of Oryx and Crake or the Testaments, seeking inspiration. Atwood, with her signature wit and sharp mind, would remind them a word after word after word is power. And so, her legacy lived on, not just in her books, but in every voice she empowered to speak. 17. Joyce Carol Oates. The endless words of Joyce Carol Oates. At 87, Joyce Carol Oates still wrote every morning, her fingers gliding over the keyboard like a pianist lost in melody. She had spent decades crafting stories, tales of love, loss, and the unspoken struggles of the human soul. But what truly inspired the world was not just her literary genius. It was her relentless passion. In a small college classroom, a young aspiring writer sat mesmerized as Oates spoke about the art of storytelling. Write every day, she urged, even when no one is reading, even when you doubt yourself. Words have a life of their own. Her novels continue to provoke thought. Her essays challenge injustice, and her presence on social media engage readers in profound conversations. At an age when many slowed down, Oates remained a force, proving that creativity has no expiration date. Some wrote for fame, some for fortune. Joyce Carol Oates wrote because she had to, and the world, in turn, kept reading. Leaders and activists. 18. Jimmy Carter, born in 1924. Jimmy Carter, a lifetime of service. At 100 years old, Jimmy Carter sat in his modest Plains, Georgia home, reflecting on a life dedicated to service. A former U.S. president, Nobel Peace Prize winner and humanitarian, he had long retired from politics, but not from making a difference. Even in his later years, Carter inspired millions by building homes for the poor with Habitat for Humanity, advocating for democracy and human rights, and fighting diseases like guinea worm in Africa. Despite health challenges, he continued to teach Sunday school, proving that leadership isn't about power, it's about service. His legacy wasn't just in policies or treaties, but in kindness, humility, and a relentless belief that one person could change the world. And he did. 19. Bernie Sanders. The fire that never faded, Bernie Sanders' legacy. In the twilight years of his life, Bernie Sanders sat in his modest Vermont home, watching the news. It was 2025, and young activists around the world were marching for fair wages, universal health care, and climate action, causes he had championed for decades. Though he had stepped away from the Senate, his influence had not waned. From the streets of New York to the villages of South America, people still quoted his words. Change comes from the bottom up, not the top down. His relentless push for economic justice had inspired a new generation of leaders. Many of the policies he once fought for, Medicare for all, student debt relief, and a higher minimum wage, were now realities in various countries. One evening, a letter arrived. It was from a young organizer in Ghana who had led a successful movement for free health care. She wrote, "Senator Sanders, your fight gave me the courage to start my own." Bernie smiled. No, his work had never been in vain. Even in his 80s, Bernie's fire never dimmed. Whether through speeches, books, or simply mentoring the next wave of changemakers, he remained a guiding light. His legacy was not just in policies, but in people, millions who believed, like he always had, that a better world was possible. 20. Gloria Steinem. The everlasting voice, Gloria Steinem's fight for equality. At 90 years old, Gloria Steinem sat in a packed auditorium, her silver hair framing a face still filled with fire and wisdom. Young activists leaned forward in their seats, hanging on to every word. "I'm often asked if feminism is still relevant," she said, her voice steady but passionate. "My answer? As long as there's injustice. The fight isn't over." Since the 1960s, Steinem had been a fearless advocate for women's rights, co-founding Ms. Magazine, marching for equality, and speaking out when others were silent. Even in 2025, she continued to inspire, writing, mentoring, and reminding the world that progress requires persistence. A young woman in the front row stood up. "Ms. Steinem, you've changed so many lives. What keeps you going?" Steinem smiled. "Hope, and the belief that each of us has the power to change the world." The room erupted in applause. Decades after she first raised her voice, Gloria Steinem's message was louder than ever. 21. David Attenborough. The voice of the earth. David Attenborough's enduring legacy. At 98 years old, David Attenborough sat in his garden, the morning sun casting a golden hue over the flowers he had nurtured for decades. A small blackbird chirped nearby, unbothered by his presence, perhaps sensing that this man was no threat, but a lifelong friend of nature. A young filmmaker, eager to capture the essence of the legend before her, adjusted her camera. "Sir David, after all these years, what keeps you going?" she asked. Attenborough smiled, his eyes twinkling with the same passion that had fueled him since his first nature documentary in the 1950s. "The world," he said simply. "It's too precious to ignore." From the rainforests of the Amazon to the icy expanses of Antarctica, Attenborough had spent a lifetime bringing the wonders of the natural world into people's homes. His voice, warm and wise, had narrated the silent struggles of endangered species, the beauty of untouched landscapes, and the urgent warnings of climate change. He was not just a storyteller. He was a guardian of the planet. His groundbreaking series, Planet Earth and the Blue Planet, had inspired millions to see the world differently. Children grew up idolizing him. Scientists credited him for their careers, and activists found purpose in his words. He was a bridge between generations, between humanity and nature. Even in his later years, Attenborough never stopped. He addressed world leaders with unwavering urgency, urging them to protect the fragile ecosystems we depend on. His final documentary, A Life on Our Planet, The Last Hope, released at the age of 99, was a powerful plea to the world, a reminder that time was running out, but that hope still existed. And so, as he sat in his garden, watching the birds he had admired since childhood, he knew his mission was not in vain. Because somewhere in a classroom, in a laboratory, in the heart of a young activist, his voice lived on, guiding the next generation to care for the only home we have. Scientists and Innovators. 22. Jane Goodall. The Woman Who Listened. The legacy of Jane Goodall. Deep in the forest of Gom, a young woman sat quietly among the trees, notebook in hand, her eyes fixed on a family of chimpanzees. Unlike others before her, she did not come to impose, to cage, or to control. She came to listen, to understand. Jane Goodall had no formal degree in primatology when she arrived in Tanzania in 1960. But she had something far greater, an unbreakable curiosity and a deep respect for the animals she studied. Where scientists once dismissed chimpanzees as mere instinct-driven creatures, Jane's patient observations uncovered something remarkable. She watched as a chimp named David Graybeard carefully used a twig to fish termites from a mound. It was a moment that shattered long-held scientific beliefs. Humans were not the only tool users. Her discoveries changed the way we see the natural world. Through her groundbreaking research, Jane showed that chimpanzees experience emotions, form friendships, and even grieve for their dead. But she didn't stop there. As deforestation and poaching threatened the very creatures she loved, Jane transformed from a scientist into a global advocate. She spoke in packed halls, met with world leaders, and inspired millions to protect the planet. Now, even at 90, Jane Goodall continues to travel the world, sharing a message of hope. Every individual matters. Every choice makes a difference. She did not just study nature, she fought for it. And in doing so, she changed the world forever. Herb. 23. Temple Grandin, the mind that changed the world. The Temple Grandin story. In a quiet Colorado ranch, a young girl watched cattle move through chutes, sensing something others didn't: fear. Temple Grandin, diagnosed with autism at a young age, saw the world in pictures. While many doubted her potential, she harnessed her unique way of thinking to revolutionize the livestock industry. Through relentless determination, she designed humane cattle handling systems, reducing animal stress and improving efficiency. But her impact didn't stop there. She became a fierce advocate for autism awareness, showing the world that different minds can solve big problems. Now, nearing 80, Temple Grandin continues to inspire farmers, scientists, and individuals with autism, proving that thinking differently isn't a limitation. It's a superpower. 24. Michio Kaku. Michio Kaku, the man who made the future understandable. In a quiet New York library, a young Michio Kaku sat, mesmerized by the pages of physics book. As a child of Japanese-American parents, he dreamed of unraveling the mysteries of the universe. Inspired by Albert Einstein, he built a homemade particle accelerator in his garage, a sign of the brilliance that would shape his future. As he grew, so did his passion for making complex science accessible. Dr. Kaku became one of the world's most renowned theoretical physicists, bringing the wonders of string theory, time travel, and parallel universes to millions. Through best-selling books, captivating lectures, and TV appearances, he transformed intimidating scientific concepts into thrilling possibilities. In 2025, even at 78, Kaku continued to inspire. His latest work on quantum computing and AI-human integration sparked new conversations about the future of humanity. Young minds across the world, from bustling cities to remote villages, watched his lectures online, their imaginations ignited by the possibilities he described. A student once asked him, "Dr. Kaku, why do you keep going?" With a smile, he replied, "Because the future is not something we enter, it's something we create." And with that, he reminded the world that curiosity, passion, and knowledge have no age limit. Athletes and cultural icons. 25. Pelé, the eternal legacy of Pelé. The sun set over the packed Maracana Stadium, golden hues dancing on the field where legends were made. Though Pelé had left the world in 2022, his spirit remained in every young player who lace up their boots, dreaming of greatness. A young boy in Sao Paulo, wearing a worn-out jersey with the number 10, balanced a soccer ball on his knee, mimicking the moves he watched countless times on old Pelé footage. He had no expensive equipment, no grand stadium practice, in just a ball, a dream, and the inspiration of a man who had once played barefoot on the streets of Brazil. Just like him, Pelé wasn't just a footballer. He was a force of nature. With 3 World Cup titles to his name, he proved that talent, hard work, and heart could break down barriers. He played with joy, with an artistry that turned football into poetry. But beyond the game, he used his voice for unity, advocating for peace and equal opportunity. In every corner of the world, from favelas in Brazil to stadiums in Europe, children still called out his name as they scored a goal. Pelé, a tribute to a man who made them believe that the impossible was possible. Even after his passing, his legacy continued, not just in goals or trophies, but in the millions of dreams he ignited. Because Pelé didn't just play football, he changed it forever. 26. Yoko Ono, the everlasting echo of Yoko Ono. At 91 years old, Yoko Ono sat by her window in New York City, gazing at the sky where she and John Lennon had once imagined a world of peace. Though time had slowed her steps, it had never dimmed her spirit. For decades, Yoko had been more than just a wife of Beatle. She was an artist, a musician, a poet, and a relentless advocate for peace. Even in 2025, her influence could be felt in galleries where her conceptual art continued to challenge perspectives, in music where her experimental sound still inspired new generations, and in activism where her voice remained a symbol of resilience. Her Imagine Peace project, launched decades earlier, had evolved into a global movement, with young activists carrying forward her message. Every year on John's birthday, thousands still gathered in Central Park strawberry fields to sing Imagine, a song she helped bring to life. Even as she aged, Yoko found new ways to inspire. Through social media, she shared messages of hope, reminding the world that peace was not just a dream, but a responsibility. Her presence, her unwavering dedication, and her refusal to conform had left a permanent mark on the world. As she closed her eyes, listening to the sounds of the city, she knew her work was far from finished. The world still needed dreamers, and she had spent her life making sure they never stopped imagining. 27. Quincy Jones. The timeless legacy of Quincy Jones. At 91 years old, Quincy Jones sat in his Los Angeles home, surrounded by golden records, Grammys, and framed photos of legends he had mentored. From Michael Jackson to Ray Charles, his influence spanned generations. Yet, Quincy wasn't done inspiring the world. In 2025, a young musician named Leo, struggling to break into the industry, was invited to attend a music workshop hosted by none other than Quincy himself. Leo had always admired Quincy's ability to blend jazz, soul, and pop, but meeting him in person was life-changing. "You don't chase trends," Quincy told him, tapping his fingers on the table like a piano. "You create them. Music is about truth, your truth." Leo watched in awe as the legendary producer broke down complex musical arrangements with the energy of a man half his age. Quincy spoke about his early struggles, growing up in Chicago, facing racism, and breaking barriers to become one of the greatest music producers of all time. "You know why I never stop?" Quincy said with a knowing smile. "Because inspiration never retires." That night, Leo went home and recorded a song, one that came straight from his heart. When he released it months later, it became a viral sensation. In interviews, he credited Quincy Jones for reminding him why music matters. Meanwhile, Quincy continued his mission, mentoring young artists, advocating for music education, and proving that true legends don't fade. They evolve. At 91, he wasn't just a name in history. He was still making it. 28. Betty White. Betty White, the eternal spark of joy. In a world that often seemed too fast, too serious, and too fleeting, Betty White was a constant source of laughter, warmth, and resilience. Born in 1922, she graced television screens for over 8 decades, becoming a beloved cultural icon whose charm only grew with time. From her early days in radio to starring in The Golden Girls and Hot in Cleveland, Betty proved that humor and kindness never go out of style. Her quick wit and fearless comedy shattered stereotypes about aging, proving that life's best moments don't have an expiration date. Even in her 90s, she outpaced many younger stars, hosting Saturday Night Live, voicing animated characters, and advocating for causes close to her heart, especially animal welfare. Betty's influence extended beyond entertainment. She taught the world that laughter heals, that staying active, mentally and physically, keeps you young, and that embracing life with gratitude makes every year worth celebrating. Though she passed in 2021, just weeks before her 100th birthday, Betty White's legacy continues to inspire. Her humor still brings joy, her wisdom still resonates, and her spirit reminds us all to live life with love, laughter, and a touch of mischief. Because, as Betty once said, you're never too old for anything. 29. Iris Apfel. Iris Apfel, a legacy of boldness and beauty. Even in her 90s and 100s, Iris Apfel was a force of nature. The self-proclaimed geriatric starlet became a global fashion icon, proving that style and creativity had no age limit. With her oversized glasses, layered jewelry, and fearless approach to color, she redefined beauty standards and inspired generations to embrace their individuality. Born in 1921, Iris built a career as a textile designer and businesswoman, working on White House restoration projects for 9 U.S. presidents. But it was in her later years that she became a true icon. When the Metropolitan Museum of Art featured her wardrobe in a 2005 exhibition, the world fell in love with her bold, unapologetic style. She graced magazine covers, starred in fashion campaigns, and even launched her own clothing and accessory lines, proving that passion never fades with age. Until her passing in 2024, at the age of 102, Iris continued to inspire with her wit, wisdom, and zest for life. Her mantra, "More is more and less is a bore," became a rallying cry for those who dare to stand out. Though she may be gone, her legacy lives on, reminding us all to embrace color, confidence, and the courage to be unapologetically ourselves. 30. Maya Angelou. The voice that echoes through time, Maya Angelou's enduring legacy. Long after her passing in 2014, Maya Angelou's voice continues to resonate across generations. A poet, activist, and storyteller, she was more than an artist. She was a force of nature, a beacon of wisdom that transcended time. In a quiet library, a young girl named Ava sat with a copy of I Know Why the Caged Bird Sings in her hands. She had been struggling with self-doubt, feeling as if the world had already decided her limits. But as she read Maya Angelou's words, something stirred inside her. The way Angelou transformed pain into poetry, hardship into strength, gave Ava a newfound sense of purpose. In another part of the world, a college professor recited still, I rise to a room full of students, igniting a discussion on resilience. A civil rights activist quoted Angelou's wisdom in a speech, rallying hope in the face of adversity. A singer wove her words into lyrics, carrying the spirit of her poetry into a new generation. Though Maya Angelou had left the world physically, she had never truly left at all. Her voice lived in every person who dared to dream, every heart that refused to be silenced. And as long as people sought courage, justice, and beauty in the power of words, Maya Angelou would forever inspire the world. And that wraps up our list of 30 legendary stars, over 80 who are still inspiring the world. These icons prove that age is just a number when it comes to passion, talent, and making a lasting impact. Who's your favorite from the list? Let us know in the comments below. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to hit that like button and share it with your friends. And if you haven't subscribed to Globewise Entertainment yet, what are you waiting for? Subscribe now and turn on the notification bell so you never miss out on more amazing content. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next video.